Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your regular injection of mind-numbing local news. This is episode 380 now, which sort of feels like a special number, but it isn't really. And I'm joined, as always, to discuss whatever crazy stories we found this week, or this bi-week, whatever you want to call it, because of course we have the Patreon every other week too, which I'll talk about later, is Rob. How you doing, Rob?
Hello, mate. Yeah, not too bad. Hope everyone's well. I'm okay. Just to say that we have new neighbours next door who are putting in a new kitchen. So if you hear any drilling or banging, I apologise. Sounds like they have stopped. They're a nice couple. But they're not living in the property. I think they want to get the kitchen sorted first. So the bill has been there for about a week now. Luckily, they're being quite respectful in terms of what time they're conducting the work, which is a relief.
Good. I'm sure, I'm pleased to hear it. The listeners will be pleased to hear it, Rob. Is there any news before we kick off this edition?
So there's one piece. Yeah, there is one piece of news that may interest the listeners. So Steve and I met up last week. We were talking about.
Oh yes, of course. I'd forgotten. Yeah.
Really nice evening, actually. It was really nice to meet him. I keep forgetting, and he has told us before that I was expecting a Midlands accent, thinking obviously that he lives in Derby, and of course he doesn't. And originally he is from South East London. He grew up in Lewisham. He knows Catford. He knows Sydenham. Yes,
I'd forgotten all of this. I'd forgotten this really. So, oh my god, that's exactly where I grew up. What did you find out what school he went to?
I didn't know. I can ask him. He did mention
that would be good to know. Like primary and secondary, I'd like to know. Yes,
okay, I'm sure he'll tell us. He used to conduct a paper round around Sydenham. So he said, I think you've mentioned the podcast where you used to live, and he said he used to deliver papers down that road, so he knows the whole area.
But what's so weird is, Rob, is as you know, this podcast wouldn't even exist if I hadn't done a paper round growing up where I used to deliver the New Shopper.
Very true. Yeah, very true.
In Sydenham. Yeah. So we need to swap notes. For Steve, I don't know what meeting Rob was like. I mean, they say you should never meet your heroes, right? And I don't know if Rob is a hero of yours.
No, I don't think so.
Probably not. But either way, I don't know. One can only assume that Steve went back feeling disappointed, Rob.
Well, I mean, he seemed happy enough, but I mean, who can really say?
Also, Rob, he only got one half of the band, didn't he? I mean, he got McCartney, Lennon was left at home. I mean, we can swap them if you want. We can argue about who was the more talented out of the two, but
Well, true, yeah. I mean, Alex, he did say if you're up for it, he'd be happy to meet. And I also found out, two very interesting pieces of information. One of which I won't reveal on the podcast. So, Khyber, I now know what your real name is.
I told you it wasn't Khyber. I told you it wouldn't have been.
Yeah, but right, Steve doesn't know why he chose Khyber, but I know Khyber's real name. And also, I didn't realise that Khyber lives a lot closer to us, because I thought Khyber also lives in Derby, which he doesn't. But so where
does he live then?
Can you say? I'll tell you off mic. So he says suggested, if you're up for it, we can all meet up and go for a pint, maybe and peruse over a local paper, for example.
You do understand, Rob, that I live under the constant daily threat of assassination.
I did tell him that. I said you very rarely leave your house, and if you do, it's under armed guard. Yeah,
I'm Kubrick. I don't, I only converse with people over the phone.
Email. I mean, I haven't seen you in years at this point in time. I mean, you could be an AI bot for all I know.
Fax is my preferred method of communication.
Oh, that's a shame. I've just been my fax machine. I didn't enjoy sending a fax back in the day. Anyway,
I wonder if there are people out there who are keeping that industry going. Like other people, does it still function? I don't know.
I think people still
are there fax enthusiasts.
Alex, would it surprise you if there was a government department that still used fax?
No, it wouldn't. But I'm going to set up a website called Fax Off. And right, is there any other news, or can we get on with this?
No, the other thing to mention, re Steve, is he was out and about. He went to go and visit some family after we met up on the gig, and happened to spot on a lamppost an Eagle Heights sticker. So I just want to ask Face of Strange.
If you weird.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we know that there are local anaesthetic stickers on some lampposts in King's Cross at a minimum.
Yeah, what I was about to say is, Face of Strange, if you're Moonlight for Eagle Heights, I will block you from the podcast. Just want to make that absolutely clear.
It's a serious threat. Okay, let's start off, Rob, from the traitorous Guardian this week. I've got 3 stories. Oh, before we do, can we just talk about Matt Hancock quickly?
Do we have to?
So the latest in the sordid life of Matt Hancock is that, number one, he was sort of threatened on the London Underground, wasn't he? Have you watched the video of him looking? He just looks absolutely petrified.
Yes.
By this person who's telling him that, he's a cunt, basically.
I mean, Alex, that man could have been... Well, yeah. I mean, that man could have been a nutter. We just don't know. I mean, Matt Hancock may also be living under the constant threat of assassination.
Yeah. But I felt that it was almost justified what this man had did when what happens today, we discover that all this money Matt Hancock said he was going to donate to charity from being on I'm a Celebrity, he has donated 3% of that fee to charity. So, 3%.
Wow, I wasn't aware of that. 3%. That's good for him. Also, we have to also mention that, unfortunately, it does look like his memoirs have been quite a substantial failure. So that's good to know.
Yeah. Anyway, so, Traitorous Guardian. This is from Colombia, Rob. Colombian news. Friday the 20th of January, this was published. Sailor rescued by Colombian Navy after 24 days adrift. Survived drop eating stock cubes. So this will be a helpful tip for you, Rob. When the inevitable happens and we're sort of all, when the sea levels rise and we're all fending for ourselves.
I was concerned you were about to say he was going to be living off his own feces, but I'm glad to know that, just that reciprocal process.
That too, Rob. I mean, obviously, piss, right. Your own piss, your own shit, but mix it with a bit of stock, and it really does liven up the flavour. Now his name is Elvis Francois, 47, right. From Dominica. Right. Had scrawled the word "help" in English on the boat's hull. Just as the strapline.
Sensible. Alex, everyone knows that English is the global language.
I assume maybe he must have done that in his own shit. Help in excrement.
Yeah, I'd like to know how he did that, because it'd be a waste to have used stock cubes. Also, you'd imagine they would wash off quite easily.
The Colombian Navy has rescued a man from Dominica who said he survived 24 days adrift in the Caribbean on a sailboat by eating, Rob. So the headline was a bit misleading because it was actually a combination of ketchup, garlic powder and stock cubes. Elvis Francois, 47, had scrawled the word help in English on the boat's hull, which officials said was key to his rescue. The sailboat was spotted from the air 120 nautical miles northwest of the Guajira Peninsula, and Francois was taken to the port of Cartagena by a passing container ship, the Colombian Navy said on a statement on Wednesday. He told Colombian authorities that his ordeal began in December when currents swept the sailboat out to sea while he was making repairs off the island of St. Martin in the Netherlands Antilles where he lives. I called my friends, they tried to contact me, but I lost the signal. There was nothing else to do but sit and wait, Francois recalled in a video released by the Navy. He said he subsisted on a bottle of ketchup, garlic powder and Maggi cubes, which are a kind of stock cube. Right?
I know them, yeah, I know.
Carlos, do you? Right, okay. Carlos
Urbano,
right.
They send in this country, Alex. They're like like meal kits, but like the powder version, a lot like Coleman's used to do, where you have you just add stuff to it. It's like a flavouring mix.
Okay. Carlos Urbano Montes said that Francois said he collected rainwater with a cloth. Clever. Francois was found. Well, there was not one cup on board. I don't find that difficult to believe. No vessel that could contain water.
Well, no, we don't know that. It just means that he was sensible in the fact that he knew that, with rainwater, has to be a bit careful. You may not be able to drink it. So,
is that true? Can he not drink rainwater?
I can't imagine it. What? Good question. This feels like a daft talk question.
Yes.
I don't know. Good question.
Francois said on the videotape he had to constantly remove water from the boat to prevent it from sinking. And I assume he didn't use a cloth for that, but you never know.
No.
Can you imagine just constantly trying to stop a boat from sinking with a sponge or a cloth? He also tried to light a fire to send a distress signal, but without success, which is probably for the best.
Yeah.
Finally, a plane passed by and he signalled them with a mirror. Very clever. He said the Navy told him he was spotted when the plane passed by again. At some point, I lost hope and I thought about my family, but I thank the Coast Guard. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be telling the story, Francois said. Urbano Montes said the sailboat was abandoned at sea when Francois was picked up by the merchant ship, so if anybody's looking for a free boat, It's knocking around there somewhere.
Good to know.
The Navy said Francois received a medical check on shore and was then handed over to immigration authorities for his return home to Dominica. So, Rob, my question to you is, you are cut adrift somewhere in similar circumstances. What would your first thoughts be to do with how you would survive?
I think I would just drink the ketchup, and then I just think if there were any, all these people that have made these preparations for the zombie apocalypse or like a nuclear fallout, and have enough supplies to last for like weeks and months, I imagine myself being dead within a matter of hours. Just that sheer willpower, just giving up and just willing myself to death just because it's easier.
Right. The only thing I can't work out about this story I've just read is that he was on the sea, Rob. The boat was on the sea, and the sea is notoriously full of fish. And I think he might have missed a trick because he could have had, it's a bit of fish, ketchup on the side. What else did he live on? It was stock cubes and garlic powder. So a bit of garlic powder over the fish. Yeah, I don't know, make a nice sauce with the stock cubes and the seawater. I feel like he really missed a trick. There's lots of fish in the sea, mate.
It's a good point, mate. And
you stick your hand in and you pull one out.
Well, also, if he let the boat sink a bit more, he would have been closer to the waterline. It'd be a lot easier to catch fish, I would have thought.
Exactly. Yeah.
You let the boat sink a bit, then you bail it out. The boat goes
with that, but with that cloth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, this man is obviously, he's obviously very intelligent, but sometimes I think he's missed the trick here.
Let's move to the Mail Online, which really we should probably veto and find the stories from somewhere else. But
yeah, but it does cover a lot of stories that fall right into our wheelhouse. That's the only problem.
Rob, this is by I assume they must be infamous, journalist Danya Bazara.
Nice.
Which is a great name. For the Mail Online, 25th of January. Life insurance firm faces backlash for appalling advert featuring prolific serial killer Harold Shipman with tagline, because you never know who your doctor might be.
I think one of our listeners submitted this, actually.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Brilliant. Okay.
Now, for any of our international listeners who might not know who Dr. Harold Shipman was, do you want to give a brief summary from your whatever rudimentary knowledge you have?
Yeah, I think it's quite limited with Shipman. From my understanding, his victims.
Actually, the story does say. I've just realised it does.
Thank you. Well,
because I could see you scrabbling there.
Yeah, better than me trying to make up some half truths around a serial killer. Let's leave the story to fill in the detail.
Well, a company called Dead Happy posted an advert on Facebook with an image of Shipman alongside text. So there's an insurance company called Dead Happy. Yes, all one word. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So their advert said life insurance because you never know who your doctor might be, with a big picture of Shipman. Hundreds of victims are said to have died at the hands of GP Shipman. So anybody listening in America, our GP is equivalent to your MD. It's your local doctor that you go and see for things, right? And so he was a doctor that had a whole roster of clients and patients. And basically, he was convicted of the murder of 15 of them. But then further inquiries found he may have killed more than 250 people during his medical career, 80% of whom were elderly women. So actually, he's one of our most prolific ever serial killers. I mean, how many serial killers can say, well, I'm not saying it should be, but that is a staggering amount of people. Yeah. So, yes, the picture shows a picture of Harold Shipman, I'll say this off air, who looks like our old boss, Mick, I've just realised. Yeah,
I can see
one
that.
Or two Mick was running. So the big picture of Harold Shipman to the right, next to it is a big sort of piece of text that says life insurance because you never know who your doctor might be, and under that are 3 bullet points. Sign up in 3 minutes, prices from £1 a month, 2 months free. And the company's Dead Happy, whose logo is a skull laughing. But good news, Rob, they have 5 out of 5 on Trustpilot.
Alex, can I make an observation, please?
Of course.
This company seems like the kind of company that would do zany things, crazy things.
Crazy.
Yeah. And part of me feels they knew exactly what they were doing in order to generate publicity.
They're getting it right now. They're getting free advertising, Rob.
Yeah, I think there was nothing accidental about this. They knew what they was going to provoke controversy. I'll leave that there.
Well, many expressed shock after the advert appeared online, describing it as disgusting. As someone whose relative was murdered by Harold Shipman, your latest advert utilising his image is despicable and unacceptable, one tweet said. Dead Happy's founder apologised and said sometimes as a brand, they may, in quotes, step over the line. So I think you're right, Rob. Catherine Knowles, founder of insurance broker Cura, told The Telegraph she would report the absolutely disgusting advert to the Financial Conduct Authority as well as the advertising watchdog. She said people within the industry were absolutely appalled. I don't see how anyone in their right mind could have thought this was the right thing to do. And she asked why the company had put relatives of Shipman's victims, some of who are still alive, through that. Wow, she wrote. Dead Happy, way to go to get people talking about your product. Shame it included a mass murdering doctor. Another tweeted, so, at Dead Happy, you're really going with this ad with the tagline, life insurance to die for. I'm seeing more tweets. Now I'm all for avant-garde advertising, but this ain't it. Advert is so gross and insensitive. Please don't use a serial killer as your poster boy. What on earth were the marketing team thinking using this as your advert? You should be ashamed of yourselves, etc. Dead Happy founder Andy Knott reportedly accepted the advert was, in quotes, provocative, but said the motivation was to raise awareness of the need for life insurance. Now, I haven't properly digested this. I mean...
Okay, go on.
It is bad, Rob. That is the definite... I've looked at the advert again. It is the definition of crass. The definition of crass. He says it's our intention to make people stop and think. If, however, I always like it when people say this, you have been personally distressed, we do sincerely apologise. We do take risks with our brand, and sometimes we may step over the line, whatever or wherever that line may be. And whoever chooses to draw it, that's philosophy for you right there, Rob. Listen to that. We take risks with our brand, and sometimes we may choose to step over the line, whatever or wherever that line may be, and whoever chooses to draw it. That is a definition, Rob, of non-committal.
Alex, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here, because at least he apologised and didn't just say, I'm sorry if you got offended. At least he apologised for it and seems to... But then in the same sentence, it doesn't really seem to give a monkeys. I mean, again, I will just emphasise, I feel that this was done intentionally and it's provoked exactly the response they knew it would.
I should just clarify that on January the 13th, 2004, Harold Shipman took his own life in a prison cell.
Thank you for letting us know.
Let's look at some comments on the Mail Online, Rob. Why not?
Oh, God.
The first one is from somebody called Fat Boy Kim in Pyongyang, North Korea. They claim.
Okay.
I don't believe that.
Can you imagine, just for a second, let's just delve into the realms of fantasy. Can you imagine if Kim Jong-il was
Fat Boy Kim
shitposting on the Daily Mail's comment section?
Well, he's probably got fuck all else to do. Right.
True.
Well, Bookbug says to Fat Boy Kim, tell that to the families of the 250 patients he murdered. Gordon says humour for the feeble-minded. Paul says, I bet you're fun at parties.
Hang on,
says,
sorry. Alex, humour for the feeble-minded.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic episode title.
It really is, isn't it? Rob, what the fuck is that behind your shoulder? Oh my God, it was a cat.
There's a cat coming. Sorry, she likes to sleep in the boiler cupboard, which is currently behind me on mic.
Yeah,
everything's fine. It's not a rat.
So we're going for humour for the feeble-minded, which should be our tagline, by the way, for our podcast. Tell says today's NHS staff, Rob, kill far more patients than Dr. Shipman could ever have imagined.
Bleak, very, very bleak.
And not fair at all. THX 1968 says truth hurts. At some point we're all going to learn how they treated people in the so-called pandemic. Then we won't think this viral marketing is incorrect. Any institution that gives people Remdesivir as treatment is not an institution that wants to make you well. And Pentagon 25 says all part of the Great Reset, my friends, which is of course Rob, you will be familiar with. I just feel myself getting depressed reading comments in the Daily Mail. Right, Rob, my last story. Let's hear about the stupidity, Rob, of people in the UK. From My London, by Neil Shaw, who's a network content editor, 19th of January. Rob, I still can't quite get my head around this story. I can't believe it. But it's research.
Okay.
Appendix is the hardest organ to find. 45% also can't find their own rectum.
Sorry. Okay.
Only 55% of men, Rob, and women can confidently state where their rectum is located, and half don't know where their reproductive organs are. Now, this is according to statistics to a new poll commissioned by leading private healthcare clinic Pall Mall Medical. Now, Rob, the rectum, I can just about understand if people are unfamiliar with the term. If everyone wants to know, your rectum is your anus. If you don't know what an anus is, it's your arsehole, and you're an arsehole. Half of people don't know where their reproductive organs are. What?
Alex, I'm more concerned about the rectum because...
What do you mean? Your reproductive organs?
I mean, either's concerning. I mean, both of these produce waste. How? Alex, there are so many questions in my head, I'm struggling to articulate it.
Right. When asked which of the organs they could confidently locate in the body, 45% did not know where the rectum is. Results reveal people living in the northeast of England were the poorest at locating this area, with only 42% knowing where their rectum is. So that's in the north of England, Rob. But Londoners weren't much wiser, with barely half, 49%, being able to locate the rectum. But by the way, Rob, people in the southwest of England and Wales were the most clued up at finding this part, with 64% confident. So that's, encouraging.
Can I just say, by the way, this is quite a damning indictment of our sexual education. Well, the sexual education classes in this country.
Or just biology. I mean,
no, just biology. Yeah, I mean, is it just people that? I mean, what I'd like to know is, did they give did they get some euphemistic expressions after the person said, after he says, "Can you tell me where your rectum is?" and that person, the respondee sits there blankly. Did they then go, "Your bum, your bot, your back door, your back passage,"
right, yeah, etc.
The tradesman's entrance, yeah.
Dr. Chun Tang, medical director of Pall Mall, said the findings highlighted Britain's laid-back attitude to their anatomy. Can I just say, Britain's laid-back attitude to their anatomy is also good at episode titles.
No, I disagree with him. It's not laid back. If people don't know what it is, that's not laid back. That's a concern.
While these findings lightheartedly point out the bewilderment many Britons face when it comes to their bodies, he says, hopefully it carries a serious message too about the importance of knowing our bodies. Having good knowledge of our body parts and their functions is important. It enables us to be more in control of our health and understand when things might not be functioning properly. Perhaps people should go back to playing the classic board game, Operation. Just over half of those polled, 52%, were on the ball at finding their reproductive organs, and it was women who fared better than men at looking at their bits and pieces, with 57% of females knowing their ins and outs, as opposed to 47% of men. You're right, Rob, I'd love to know what the questions are. I can't believe that people, only that amount of people knew where their vagina was. That's not possible. Fallopian tubes, maybe, but I don't get the rest of it.
Yeah, I agree. Can I just pick him up on his point about the operation? I don't seem to remember... there's not a piece on Operation where you have to remove something from the guy's arsehole. There should be, but there's not. Or, as we've covered in many stories, removing something from your penis.
If Mattel are listening, it would be a worthy update. The Pall Mall survey, carried out by one poll on, well, it's not a great sample, 2,000 adults, found that it was the 55 to 64 age range that topped the list in knowledge, whereas only 22% of, Rob, only 22% of 18 to 24-year-olds could pinpoint their rectum. Right, let's go through the statistics.
Okay.
Which organs are easiest to find from easiest to hardest? You'll be pleased to hear, Rob, 63% of that 2,000 people sampled knew where their heart was.
What do they think that thing was beating in their chest, Alex?
Rob, 63% of people knew where their brain was.
Oh my God!
60% knew where their lungs were. 59% their stomach, 55% rectum, 52% reproductive organs. Maybe that's what they asked them, where are your reproductive organs? Kidneys, 50%.
Alex, I think Neanderthal man would have been able to identify where the heart is.
Bladder, 48%.
How are we struggling?
Bladder, 48%, liver, 43%, appendix, 38%. So there you go.
Well, that's, if anything, another indictment that we're one step closer to the end of humanity.
Okay, Rob, you have a story for us there, my friend.
Yes. My first story, now look, listeners, I want to be honest with you. This goes back a bit. Now, basically, angry people in local newspapers tweeted this story from their archive. And It was so good, I just couldn't turn it up. So this story is from 2012, but I think it needs to be heard.
Hang on. Isn't that when we started this podcast?
Yes.
So what month is it from, out of interest?
September.
So that means we missed that in our first year of this podcast somehow.
Well, I think the reason being, Alex, is because we were back in the heady days of the
Oh, it was like the 60s, wasn't it, Rob?
Exactly, yeah. Free love and other things. But I think we were also very much keeping it on brand by, actually sticking to local news stories. When we had
there were so many. We didn't have to look elsewhere, Rob, because there were so many of them. I mean, what's happened to local news journalism over the last few years is shocking.
Yeah,
I think that's part of it, that we never had a trouble finding stories.
No, so we didn't have to go too far afield. So I think that's why we've missed this. But look, again, you'll understand, even the headline is just superb. So this is by Richard Smith. As I said, it is from the 21st of September 2012. The paper is the Daily Record, so it's a Scottish story. And the headline is, a drunk woman steals 45-foot ferry while shouting, "I'm Jack Sparrow."
Yeah, I don't know how we missed this one.
Oh, God, Alex. So, a drunk has been jailed after she stole a 100-seater ferry and smashed into boats yelling, "I'm Jack Sparrow, I'm a pirate." Do you understand why I had to feature it?
Yes.
So Alison Whelan, 51, boarded the 45-foot Dart Princess with a friend after a 2-day bender where she got drunk on Lambrini and ate poisonous deadly nightshade, which caused hallucinations. She undid the mooring ropes in the early hours and drifted up a river on the tide, bashing into other boats like a pinball machine.
Is she Scottish?
Yes.
Oh, right. So this was just kind of like a normal weekend's drink.
Alex, obviously, that's said in the name of jest.
I can say it, and I keep saying it. I've got my grandmother was Scottish, so presumably that means I can make offensive remarks about Scottish people. Of course, it doesn't.
Sorry, hang on. No, I obviously haven't read this story. This isn't. So it's featured in the Daily Record, but this happened in Devon.
My point stands.
Right, okay. Anyway, right. So Whelan taunted the police by shouting, "What are you going to do now? I believe this is out of your jurisdiction." Which is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So 30 police, a lifeboat crew, coast guards and paramedics had to be called.
Oh, God, it's like proper Grand Theft Auto. It's like when you steal the boat in Grand Theft Auto and eventually everybody turns up,
Yeah, absolutely.
Enough damage. Yeah.
And when cops finally arrested her after an hour, the ferry came to a rest in calm waters. She told them we'd ended up in Saint-Tropez if we had been caught. If we hadn't been caught, which makes more sense. So magistrates jailed her for 122 days for aggravated vehicle taking. She has denied the charge. Great. So Whelan of Payton, Devon, stole the double-decker ferry in nearby Dartmouth a year ago.
Double-decker ferry? So she had no idea how to sail. I don't know if that's the right word, but drive this thing. And when you say she stole it, how did she steal it? Did she like throw the pilot, or what would the word be? The captain overboard? And how did she commandeer this vehicle? I don't understand.
All she basically did, this was late at night. The ferry was moored up. All she did, she walked aboard, walked onto the ferry, undid the mooring rope, and then was basically. She didn't have access to the engine. She was just carried along on the tide.
Oh, right, I see.
So apparently she called an ambulance, claimed to have a seizure. Medics found her drunk and rambling, and one of them was pushed over. Oh, and one of them was pushed over by her friend Tristan Locke, which is nice.
So pardon the pun with his name, of course. I'm thinking locks, I'm thinking canals, I'm thinking water, boats, and there is a link there.
Yeah. Very nice, Alex. Good point.
Is it?
So Whelan told police she untied 2 of the 3 of the mooring ropes. Well, let's say because she kept tripping over them. She said she then felt the boat moving and noticed the hotel was getting a long way away.
Sorry, that's complete bullshit.
Why'd you say that?
Because that is the most pathetic excuse I've ever heard. I kept tripping over mooring ropes, so rather than walking away from them, I undid them and got on the boat.
Yes. And apparently it was making for Saint-Tropez. So the ferry suffered £1,500 worth of damage when it hit two other boats, which were also damaged. Yeah, surprisingly. Talking magistrates heard Whelan and Locke could have been killed on the rocks if the tide on the River Dart had been going out at the time. And apparently Locke, her friend, was fined £100. That's the end of that story. But as I said, I felt I had to feature them just to see if there's any. There's no comments, unfortunately. But that's a shame.
10 years later, nobody has commented. I mean, you think how long people have had to comment on that story, should they wish? No, didn't feel the need to. It speaks for itself, Rob.
I think they've closed the comment section down, Alex, unfortunately. I think that's what's happened. Right, my next story, I can't actually remember where I found this, but it's very much on a theme that we've been covering a lot on the podcast in the last 2 years, I'd say. This was from news.com.au, so it's an Australian story. It's from the 8th of January 2023. And the headline is Aussie tradie, as in tradesman, is in intimate relationship with sex doll named Karina.
Now, is this the same guy we've featured before, or is this a whole new thing?
No, this is, from my understanding, this is a new guy completely.
Okay, I'm gonna need. Let me get the story already so I can see it. Give me the headline again. I won't look at it until you tell me. But
yeah. So Aussie tradie is in intimate relationship with sex doll named Karina.
Hang on 1 second, Rob. Okay, right. You can tell me when I can look at the pictures and everything.
Great. Okay. So first of all, I would just point out that for some reason, despite this man being in the paper and them including his picture, they've anonymized his name. So they've given him,
what a fucking waste of time that is.
Well, yeah, I know. I find it utterly bizarre. So for some reason they've given him the name Rod, which doesn't really seem appropriate to me, but that's fine. So after devastating
Rod Shafter.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, do you know this guy? No.
Yeah, that's a good name for our data bank, Rob.
Yeah, it is. So after a devastating breakup and years without physical intimacy, Rod made the bold move to purchase a $3,000 sex doll named Karina. Now, Alex, the next line, there's something really poetic about this. So,
okay.
The Aussie carpenter from rural New South Wales had been left frozen in a state of loneliness in 2021. Frozen in a state of loneliness. There's something about that phrase which is quite...
Rob, we always like the same things. I mean, that is an album title right there. Frozen and in a state of loneliness.
Yeah.
It's a classic from the 80s. That should have been a Joy Division album.
Yeah, absolutely. So he'd been frozen and in a state of loneliness in 2021, when he ordered Karina online after searching for sexual stimulation tools.
Sexual stimulation tours?
Tools.
Tools, right.
Like
so
a hammer, screwdriver,
tools,
that kind of thing. I'm not saying you use those. Yeah.
Rope. What are all those other things? USB cables to shove down your penis. All those
thermometers, that kind of thing. Yeah.
What did we have last time? What was it? I think it was on the Patreon, wasn't it? That guy who shoved a bomb up his arse or something. Or was that on the regular layer? I can't remember.
No, it was on the Patreon, and the boy who also inserted the glass thermometer up his penis. Anyway, look, Alex. Despite zero knowledge about sex dolls, the 50-year-old said Karina changed his life in many ways and finally gave him something to care for. The doll became my synthetic physical companion, Rod told Mamma Mia. I don't know what Mamma Mia is. Slowly my heart opened.
The musical, Rob.
The
musical. You told them.
He was just shouting at the stage. She changed my life! Can you imagine? Yeah, anyway. So slowly my heart opened up and I was distracted by my grief of losing my ex that wouldn't go away.
Oh.
After only 2 months after purchasing Karina, Rod made the big decision to introduce her to his mum in Victoria for Christmas.
This is the bit I don't understand. This is where it goes into territory I don't get. I completely understand, and it's everybody's right if they want to go out and do this, right? Fine. But it would be normally the kind of thing you'd keep very private. It would be hidden away in a cupboard somewhere. You wouldn't talk about it. You don't think. Yep. The bit that then worries me, that makes me think it becomes more of a mental health issue, is when you're introducing the doll to friends and families, or marry the doll, or do all these other things.
I completely agree, Alex. He is married to the doll as well, but let's not jump ahead. So Rod apparently told the newspaper, Mum basically looked at her as if she was poison. The 85-year-old was shocked, but after some encouragement, Rod's mum was picking out jewellery and clothes for Karina.
Rob, there's always jealousy between the mother-in-law and the female partner. It's bound to happen. But Rob, I'm tired of waiting.
Okay.
I'm going to look now at the pictures because I need to see this $3,000 sex doll. Right? Okay. The picture in the car, Rob, where she's looking at the camera with that big smile. She is, you can see why it cost a lot of money. She is pretty realistic. I mean,
yeah, she is.
In that sort of creepy way. Oh my God, he's...
What?
They look, she's got a great smile. They look very happy together. He's quite old. I didn't realise. How old is he?
He is 54.
But then, there's a picture of her in a bikini, and then it becomes obvious what a lot of this is about, no?
Yeah. I mean, Alex...
Is it really about just having
No, I mean, look, Alex, he was looking online for sexual stimulation. It's quite clear that... Let's not get away from this. This is just a sex toy. There's no two ways about this. Regardless of the fact that apparently he's introduced...
Right. I'm now looking at a picture... I'm now looking at the Mail, Rob, where they have covered the story a day later. There's a lovely picture of her sitting on his lap. She's quite a bit younger than him.
What, the sex doll?
Yes. In terms of looks. The other thing, Rob, is I've got a picture of him on the Mail Online with two of them. With the headline, Rod said his real life partner was upset when he first told her of his relationship with Karina and Lauren. I'm looking, he's got two of them arm in arm. So...
so basically what happened was after he bought the sex doll, he started a relationship with someone called Jenny from Vietnam.
But I thought, right, okay, Jenny, be very careful. I think this man might, that's not a good look, is it, Rob? Hang on. I thought he was looking for this doll as a substitute for a real life relationship.
Yeah.
And then he okay.
He also then bought another doll, Alex. He has two of them now.
All right, so basically he's got his confidence back, Rob. He's got his mojo.
Yeah. So just to let you know that he is actually engaged to yeah, he's engaged to this real woman, but is very much still committed to his two sex dolls, and obviously had to disclose his love to Jenny, who was quite shocked at the time. But
Rob, I don't want to hijack this story, but there is an update.
Oh, is there?
From the day after this story was published on the Mail Online, which looks like we should dig into it. Girlfriend erupts over her man's intimate relationships with plastic dolls, Karina and Lauren. We argued about it, and she just didn't understand.
Oh, okay.
So basically, Aussie Rod's not his real name, which is, like you said, this is so weird. But he's a very distinctive looking person. I mean, it's not like you're going to, there are pictures of him everywhere. Anyway, he's from rural New South Wales, purchased a doll in 2021 for all the reasons you mentioned. After lonely COVID lockdowns, the carpenter was feeling isolated. He turned to the internet, discovered the world of sex dolls. Now, he quickly began to experience not only the physical benefits of his new relationship with Karina, but an improvement in his emotional well-being.
Yep.
He said, all of a sudden from emptiness, I had something that required care and maintenance and improvement in a feminine way. It was nice. But when Rod broke the news to his real-life partner a month after purchasing Karina, she did not share Rob in his newfound happiness. We argued about it. She didn't understand. The first thing that she's feeling is threatened and wondering why. Rod had met his partner online only 7 months earlier, but the pair had never met as she lived more than 5,000 kilometres away. He said he had to explain to her the mannequin was just, in quotes, keeping him company. Look, it's just keeping me company, all right?
She can't talk. She's only good for one thing. In fact, it's my ideal woman.
His partner eventually totally accepted the strange situation after realising how important Karina was to him and how the doll had helped his mental health. So basically he browbeated her, Rob, into accepting this. Rod has since, and then not only that, then he had the balls, Rob, to go and buy a second doll and say, and I need another one now to keep me company because you're not here. She's called Lauren. After finding a new lease of life through his relationships, he has decided to get into portrait photography, using the dolls as his models. And I'm sure, Rob, they'll be very tasteful. He set up an Instagram account for Karina, @KarinaLovely, where he dresses her up and snaps her in posed various scenes, complete with different hair and makeup styles. Her account has 11,500 followers. He previously did not have a big social network following, but through Karina has found a supportive online community of other men who own sex dolls. He discovered, Rob, other men were able to open up about similar problems with dolls and could talk to each other about their problems. Rod even introduced Karina to his 85-year-old mother, who, as you said, looked at her like she was poison before accepting her. Due to the success of Karina's Instagram account, Rod has been offered a big job, taking photos of dolls for a manufacturer in China, and said his partner will be by his side for the journey. So it's a beautiful story, Rob. I'm pleased we have this romantic music on in the background because this is a kind of it just warms the cockles of your heart, Rob.
Also, I think once again we've missed an episode title, but a supportive community of other men who own sex dolls.
Oh, it's good. Rob comments on the Mail Online. L. Howard says, to be fair, the doll moves a lot more during sex than the girlfriend does. Now, is he talking about his own girlfriend? Is he talking about his own girlfriend, or is he implying that Vietnamese girlfriend is dead?
I mean, either way, Alex, it's concerning.
Jack Orth says, "What's the problem? She looks happy in the pic."
Good point. Yep.
Mel Gannis says, "Inflatable doll lover, ungrateful. I blew up your body, but you blew my mind. Roxy music in every dream home a heartache."
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
It must be a reference to something I'm not aware of, but it does feel like gibberish. Keith, very good point, Keith. Keith Teaser says, with all the money he paid, he could have bought a Thai bride.
True.
Mr. D.A. Jones.
Yeah.
Mr. D.A. Jones said, I had a relationship with one of these a few years ago. No emotion, no joy, no empathy, no understanding. Eventually I gave up and decided to buy a doll instead. So this is where we get the bitter men of the Mail Line come out. Spill Your Gut says, reminds me of a man I worked with in the 80s who came from Parks. His comment was, she won't yell, swell or tell. That's quite sinister, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
oh my God, that's dark.
Yeah. She won't yell, swell or tell. Roger SP says, I like the brunette. Lucky121 says, she didn't understand. No one understands, and that is normal. This man is not. Norman Rimmer says, you are a twisted individual, which is, quite rich coming from you, Norman Rimmer. Marlos simply says, the one comment, Rob, which might be one of the greatest comments, it's 2 words we've ever had on any story, simply says the phrase, sock unit. Okay, Robert, it's time for our listener story of the week. What have you got? Who's it from? On the last regular day, we had a story from a new listener, I think, or it was a new. Was it Ben or somebody else?
Ben. It was indeed, yeah. Unfortunately, we are very much back into a groove here, and this is from Face the Strange.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Face the Strange. Face the Strange. Look. Obviously, what you choose to do with your hard-earned cash is up to you, but for £1 a month, Face the Strange, you could be on the Patreon. I mean, you could be there already. You could have signed up under a different name, but if you're not, and anybody else who's listening who would like to be on the Patreon, go to patreon.com, Patreon, /LAPodcast Extra, and from there, from £1 a month, you can cancel at any time, but why would you want to do that? You will get 2 episodes of our sister podcast, LA Podcast and Extra Jab, delivered exclusively to your inbox. And there's already, I think, nearly 40. Aren't we about to hit the 40 milestone on the...
We are, we're already there, yeah.
We're already there, of LA Podcast and Extra Jab, and they are absolutely brilliant. We love doing them, and also we can cover stories that are a bit more near the knuckle that we can't cover on the regular podcast. So do sign up. When you sign up, it doesn't have to be £1 a month. If you want it to be more, we would greatly appreciate that. So it's kind of a way of you supporting us and the endeavour, and for that you get loads of extra podcast episodes. Thank you. Rob, let's get back to Face the Strange.
Lovely. So
let's hear it. He consistently sends us good stories.
It's only a short one, but it's very, very entertaining.
Rather like yourself, Rob.
Thank you, Alex. That was almost a compliment.
Only a short one, but very entertaining.
Yeah, thanks. Which, the more I think about it, sounds more derogatory. Anyway, so this is
I'm not especially tall either, so I mean, it's, you know.
Oh, I thought you were relating to a certain appendage, but that's okay.
No, I was talking about your height, Rob.
Okay, thanks.
Rob's 5'5", for anybody who wants to know.
Yeah, not technically. Actually, I'm just going to stop talking there. So this is from the Basildon, Canvey and Southend Echo, which we have featured on the...
Don't say we've never featured that.
Yeah, we absolutely have, because I've read stories from it before.
What? That's incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know where any of those places are, by the way. What did you say?
Basildon. You must know where Basildon is.
Nope.
Okay, Canvey, as in Canvey Island?
Nope. Heard of it.
Southend. Where's Southend?
Must be on the south coast somewhere, no?
Alex, are you taking the piss?
Is Southend in Kent?
You don't know where Basildon is?
No.
They are all Essex. I mean, probably the most Essex places you could ever have heard of.
Okay. All right.
And it's unfortunate then that
let's all laugh at Alex, yeah.
Yeah, well, we are. It is unfortunate that the reporter is called Sophie England, but that's okay.
Better than Sophie
She's also
Essex.
the trainee reporter, but again, that's okay as well.
Right, Rob, let's get on with this. We're running over time, and that's mainly down to me, and I apologise.
Okay, so Hockley fire caused by dog switching on hairdryer.
There was a story in the United States about, it wasn't funny, a dog who shot his owner to death.
Yes, I heard about that, yeah.
I don't know how you actually, but anyway.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of force to pull a trigger, I would have thought, but never mind.
If it's a hair trigger, though, a trigger made of hair, of course. Again, nonsense. So a dog may have caused a fire by turning a hairdryer which had been left on a bed, plugged in, fire crews believe.
The word may there makes me question this, but okay.
Yeah. So the freak accident in Hawkwell Road, Hockley, left a bedroom smoke damaged, Essex Fire and Rescue Service said. Crews were called to the property in Hockley this evening, Saturday, December the 24th. Oh, that's disappointing, on Christmas Eve. After reports of a smoke-filled house. When they arrived, firefighters reported there was a smouldering fire in the bedroom and quickly worked to put it out. Watch manager Gary Finn said the owner was out and came back to find a house full of smoke. We believe the fire started because of a hairdryer was left plugged in and on a bed. We think the dog may have jumped on the bed and turned the hairdryer on, eventually causing it to catch a light, and then setting fire to the bedding and mattress. Once you finish with any electro appliances such as hairdryers and strainers, please take a moment to unplug them. All right, Killjoy. Doesn't sound in the article, by the way. However, the good news...
Do we think the dog did it deliberately, Rob? Do we think that the dog had had enough of one thing or another? I don't know what.
I think the dog had an accident on the bed and tried to cover it up, personally.
I have to say, Rob, it does bring a whole new sort of meaning to the phrase hot dog.
That's quite poor, Alex, I'll be honest.
Get me a job hosting an ITV sort of shitty show, I think I'd be all right.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, something like
catchphrase, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very much sure. Or The Chase. And then on The Chase, what's the one with that's just like a 2p machine? Tipping Point. Anyway, look. Yes. The homo wouldn't have thought for one moment that the dog would turn on the hairdryer, but unplugging something just gives you that peace of mind. Thankfully, the dog was waiting by the front door when the homeowner got home.
With the burning wreckage?
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah.
Looking guilty, yeah.
Both the dog and the homeowner were treated for smoke inhalation, but I'm guessing they're both fine. Just very quickly,
presumably the dog's been put down, has it? Because my understanding is that, no, you put down dangerous dogs. What could be more dangerous than setting fire to your house?
Good point.
There's no other choice. We're going to have to put him down.
Yeah, I think the fire service just... Oh, no, God, that's bleak. Why am I going down that route?
What were we going to say? Go on. I was going to
say something with the jaws of life, or whatever they call them. You know, the machine they use for cutting open cars. To the best of my knowledge, the Essex Fire and Rescue Service have never decapitated a dog with that machine. And look, Alex comments.
But they might have taken him to Southend, where I believe there might be sea.
There is sea.
Understanding of Southend, and just let him wander into the endless deep.
Well, Alex, Southend is famous for having I think maybe not the world's longest, but the UK's longest pier.
No, but it's also famous for having the dog cannon, isn't it? Where people who don't want their dogs anymore load up the cannon and just fire it off into the sea.
Yeah, absolutely. So Huskins said, what sort of thicko leaves a hairdryer plugged in on the bed? Learn the hard way. A dog won't be switching it on either way.
Can I just say, there's no people like this really piss me off. You stepping in here and being judgmental. Actually, any of us could do that at any point. Don't be judgmental, mate.
Alex, this comment is more or less nonsense, but I really need to read it out. So the commentator, you couldn't make it up, says, yeah, blame the dog. More like dime bar leaves hairdryer on. Facebook's another dime bar. Goes out. Dog bites kid. So blames Fox for unlocking the door, going in and nipping the kid. Chip bands left on and burns house down. The cat must have left the gas on. Absolute nonsense.
Rob, that's one of my favourite nursery rhymes when I was a child. It's honestly every word, isn't it? It's just beautiful.
It's very poetic. Dime bar leaves the house. Facebook message from another dime bar. Goes out. Dog bites kid. Locks the front door. Nips kid. Chip ban. I guess you may have meant chip pan, but it does say chip ban. Left on and burns house down. The cat must have left the gas on. I think the last sentence really brings it together.
Don't you remember it? The cat must have left the gas on.
Yeah.
Yay. We should put that on the website. If we could write it out in prose, it's quite beautiful.
Yeah, very true. And the last comment from Roger Me Moore just says, the dog is graduating from eating homework.
Yeah, and shitting in your slippers. Absolutely. Well, on that note, Rob, we bring this feels like a very long episode today of LA Podcast, but fitting because it does feel like a good number, a good solid number. Episode 480, not 780. Woo! 480, Rob, to a close, and of course, we're on the
380,
website,
Alex.
podcast.net. Oh, sorry, 380. Yeah, I've just added, 380 episodes of the podcast to a close. Look, we're on the website, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. You know where we are. The most important thing for you to do is go over to Patreon and sign up. And we used to ask people to donate to this podcast, but now, we actually want to give something back for your donation. So if you can sign up and become a member of this podcast and help us out, we'd really appreciate it. And for that, you'll get all the LA Podcast and extra jab episodes, which we absolutely love doing for you. Right, we're going to be listen out for the teaser. There'll be a teaser for the next episode at the end of this podcast, or at the end of every podcast, so don't ever switch off. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully on the Patreon, but if not, on the regular LA in a couple of weeks' time. God bless.
And keep it local.
Local Anesthetic Podcast is on Patreon, so go to patreon.com/LA Podcast Extra for access to our exclusive bonus episodes. You won't find them anywhere else. Here's a preview of what's coming up on the next LA Podcast, An Extra Jab. Headline, delivery men left sofa jammed on stairs to furious homeowner.
Well, Alex, I actually have first-hand experiencing of delivering sofas. To earn some extra income, I used to deliver beds around the great and good of Cheshire.
Love it.
And I honestly still maintain that it's the best job I've ever had. It was a joy to do.
I imagine, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that a lot of your memories of fondness have to do with probably you and another guy or guys sitting in a van eating sandwiches that you bought from Tesco. That kind of thing.
Alex, you're very, very close to the truth. Man demands compensation after taxi ran over £200 Doc Martens. So Alexandre, 33, said, I was visiting a friend and having a tattoo in Hanford. I had the tattoo and then ordered a taxi to pick me up. Alex, this is the way that these things go in Stoke-on-Trent. You visit a friend and then you get a tattoo. That's just a daily.
Would you ever? Yeah, that's just normal. Would you ever get a tattoo, or do you have one?
I don't have one. No, I have talked about this on the podcast before. I think. Yes, I would have.
Oh
a
yeah,
tattoo.
you did. You asked me to design one.
I asked you to illustrate one before. Yes.
And I said no.
Well, that's not exactly true. You sent me back just a very crudely drawn cock, and told me to fuck off.